Hey guys, we are back with the May newsletter, and strap in because this one is a doozy. We are really honing in on safety this month because lots of things are changing and inspection blitzes are approaching quickly. We're covering crash preventability and distracted driving, work zone safety, how to avoid falling victim to an inspection blitz, some changes to OSHA violations, and how many warehouses does Amazon actually have. As always, all links and forms are below if you have questions. Here we go. All right, great news for all of you carriers out there. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration published a proposal on the Federal Register on April 12, 2023 to expand the Crash Preventability Determination Program. Typically, the FMCSA will evaluate and examine a crash submitted by a carrier and determine if the crash was preventable or non-preventable. If the crash was deemed not preventable, then the FMCSA would remove the percentile ranking from the carrier's crash indicator behavior analysis. So what's the problem, Texas Matt? Well, the problem is there are only a handful of crash types, 16 to be exact, that would be eligible for preventability determination. And why is that important? Well, it's very important that carriers try everything to get these accidents removed because being involved in an accident negatively affects a carrier's CSA score, insurance rates, and so much more. It kind of creates a domino effect that ends badly for many carriers. So on to the good news. The proposed changes consist of modifying and expanding on 11 of the current crash types and adding 4 new crash types. All these changes are simply widening the net of crash types that can qualify as not preventable, which is great for carriers. Our CEO, John Irwin, and one of our compliance specialists, Jared Klein, discussed these changes in detail. Check out the video in the top right. Driving should just be a trucker, the truck, and the road. Simple and pure. I realize that isn't the case these days. There's so much out there that can take a driver's attention off the road, and that is a slippery slope. These split-second distractions could mean the difference between avoiding an accident and causing one. At best, your insurance premiums will go up, and at worst, you could take someone's life. As a professional driver, you need to be aware that there are different types of distractions out there, whether they are visual, manual, or cognitive. According to the CDC, there are 3 major types of distractions. Visual consists of taking your eyes off the road, manual consists of taking your hands off the wheel, and cognitive is when you take your mind off of driving. Let's talk about visual distractions. A visual distraction is anything that causes the driver to remove their eyes from the road. This could be caused by anything from reading a text to looking at a billboard or even animals along the road. If you aren't keeping your eyes on the road, then you won't be able to see what's coming. For manual distractions, we're talking about anything that makes you take your hands off the wheel or your eyes off the road. This is anything from handling your phone or changing the radio station to eating a burger, taking a picture, or even searching the internet. All of this is something that can and will prevent you from having complete control of your vehicle. As for mental or cognitive distractions, not many think about this one. See what I did there? So it can be easily overlooked. Basically, these types of distractions take your mind off the road, and as a CNV driver, this could be dangerous. It could be something as simple as having a conversation, or you could be dealing with stress or anxiety about something in your personal life. If you aren't completely focused on the job at hand, constantly scanning your surroundings and staying alert, you are not mentally focused. I did mention phones earlier, but I wanted to circle back because for non-professional drivers, this might be the #1 distraction. And for professional drivers, this may be one of the biggest temptations. As a CNV driver, you should know that the FMCSA prohibits texting or the use of handheld devices because a phone is a deadly combination of all 3 distractions. If you have ever picked up your phone and attempted to text while driving, you'll find out very quickly how dangerous it is. I see it every day. It's 7 o'clock in the morning and I see people veering off the road and then quickly jerking the wheel back. Well, I've got news for you. Those people aren't falling asleep and they aren't drunk. They are either texting or searching something on their phone. It is extremely dangerous. Now for professional drivers, it's not that you can't use your phone at all. The FMCSA just requires that you mount your phone close by and use hands-free calling. The only caveat is that the phone is mounted in a location that can be reached while seated in the driving position with your seatbelt fastened, and that you can start or end phone calls with the push of a single button. All this needs to be done before departing on your trip. You can't go reaching for your phone after you start driving. The FMCSA is very strict on this, and you could get anywhere from a $2,750 fine all the way up to $11,000. In addition to that, if you get multiple offenses in 3 years, you could get a 120-day driving disqualification. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yikes! I can't handle being disqualified from driving and a fine. How can I get my distracted driving under control? Have no fear, I have some distracted driving tips using hands-free calling for you here. 1. Get familiar with whatever program you're using to make calls before you get behind the wheel. Learning a new program on your phone is considered distracted driving. 2. Make sure the caller ID is set up to let you know who's calling. You don't need to answer every call, especially if it's your ex wanting to rekindle that relationship. You moved on and they need to learn to let go. It's just you and the open road now. 3. Avoid making emotional or stressful calls. Like I said, leave the ex in the past where they belong. You're married to driving and your truck is the kid you always wanted. 4. Keep calls brief. Number 5, if it's a call that needs your full attention, just pull over. It won't kill you to lose 5 minutes. We do offer full safety trainings, whether it be in-person or online video trainings, if you're interested in training yourself or your drivers. You can fill out the form below or give CNS a call at 888-260-9448, and one of our DOT compliance specialists will help you out. Wow, 3,700 commercial motor vehicle crashes on one road in just 3 years? That's huge, huge. As you know, more is better. That makes I-81 the best interstate. There's no other interstate like it. I totally support everything I-81 is doing out there. Sorry, my alter ego got a little carried away there. Of course, I'm talking about a highway, and more is not better in this case. I-81 runs from New York and through PA, Maryland, both Virginias, and Tennessee. So because of all of these accidents, the FMCSA wants to see if they can do something about it, which is why the division administrator, Chris Henry, announced that there will be a multi-state inspection blitz this summer along I-81 within these states. You may remember the inspection blitz on I-81 last year. Huh? You remember that? Well, guess what? This year is different. Instead of the FMCSA working with state agencies for several weeks, they've been working together for several months. As usual, the High Visibility Traffic Enforcement and Education Initiative focuses on promoting good driver behavior and reducing crashes and fatalities involving large commercial motor vehicles. CMV drivers should already be doing all this, but some key guidelines to follow in preparation for the Blitz include obeying all traffic laws like wearing your seatbelt, driving the speed limit, slowing down in work zones, and it even mentions to avoid distracted driving. As you know, we have already discussed distracted driving before. We will throw a link above so you can review that video. Additionally, it is important to maintain your vehicle, making sure it is safe to operate. Assuming you have already made sure your vehicle is safe, it will give you more time to focus on following all of the regulations revolving around hours of service, medical certifications, CMV credentialing, and driver licensing. This will at least be a good start to avoid falling victim to the Blitz. But you are already doing all of this, right? Huh? You're not? Well, we need to have a serious conversation about your compliance then. Go ahead and pick up the phone, dial this number right here, and ask for a DOT compliance specialist. Or you can just fill out the form below. Much easier. Also, in order to help out our truckers out there, the FMCSA has also been working to educate other drivers or non-professional drivers. This should be common sense, but you would be surprised. You can always help a trucker by staying out of blind spots, signaling clearly, passing safely, never cutting them off or lingering in their blind spot, ensuring you can see the CMV driver in his or her side view mirror. Truckers have to react in the same way as someone in a passenger car, but their vehicles are much heavier and much less nimble. So cut them some slack and try to make their job a little easier. There are many other ways a CMV driver can reduce the chances of being in an accident or being pulled over by DOT officers, and of course, we are happy to help you in that department. The CNS Proactive Safety Management programs are built for companies of all sizes. Just give us a call or fill out the form below to learn more.
Hello?
Yo.
We've all experienced driving work zones. There's something about them that makes me want to close my eyes and scream, "Forgive me, Jesus!" and just punch the gas and take a hard right into that brick wall that is so conveniently located on the right side of the road. Instead, call in anyways and talk to one of our DOT trainers. They can school you on the do's and don'ts in work zones, or just listen to the rest of my rant here. On a serious note, let's talk about the proper way to proceed through a work zone. The issue of safety in work zone goes hand in hand with the 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And the trucking industry will see a lot of big projects on the roads with $110 billion going to repairing and rebuilding roads and bridges. Work zones often include narrow or closed lanes, which can change on a daily or weekly basis, making the chances for an accident even higher. There are over 700 fatalities in work zones each year, and in 2020, large trucks made up 1/3 of fatal work zone crashes. Some essential safety techniques that are important for all drivers, but even more so for CMVs and buses, include watching for speed limit reductions, approaching with care and caution, using four-way flashers when stopped or traveling slowly, slowing down and being prepared to stop, moving into an open lane as soon as possible, paying attention to vehicles around you that could be in your blind spot, watching for traffic control signs and road workers, not passing vehicles in a work zone, avoiding driving distractions such as your phone, eating, or programming your GPS. These are all excellent safety tips that will also help you reduce the chances of speeding violations and other fines that negatively affect your CSA scores, insurance premiums, and broker relationships. Speed enforcement through these zones is also something to pay attention to. Various states that are focused on maintaining and improving roads and bridges use work zone speed enforcement programs to target speeding and unsafe driving vehicles for violations and fines. Right here in Pennsylvania, we have a 3-year-old automated work zone speed enforcement pilot program that hopes to reduce distracted driving and speeding in work zones. The program uses portable automated speed enforcement systems that are activated by a speeding vehicle. The mounted cameras then snap a picture and conveniently send you a ticket in the mail. How nice of them. As a motor carrier, it is your job to ensure that your drivers are trained properly, and that starts with hiring good drivers. It is important that you take the proper steps to stay DOT compliant by managing driver qualification files, new driver onboarding, driver safety training, drug testing, and more. CNS knows this is a lot to manage, which is why our DOT compliance specialists have developed several DOT compliance programs focused on proactive safety management. If you want to learn more, just fill out the form below and we'll help you out. Okay. So you may have been keeping up with our New Venture series and the 7 steps to starting and running a successful trucking company. Luke has been covering those topics in detail and has already covered 5 parts. There's a link to the trucking startup playlist above and in the description below where you can get caught up on those. We'll be releasing part 6 of that series soon, but I will cover the basics for you. Step 6 is focused on finding loads, which has 3 parts to it. First, you need to understand the 3 different types of freight. Second, you need to understand the different methods you can use to find loads. And third, you should know how to negotiate with shippers. The 3 types of freight you need to know about are contract freight, spot market freight, and relationship freight. Contract freight, also called direct shipper freight, is a type of fixed, long-term truckload pricing that makes up 85% of all loads. This is a safe way of ensuring you are getting loads by having shippers commit to a certain load volume, while as a carrier you offer a fixed transportation rate. This can have its downsides for carriers because if the market shifts and costs rise, they are locked into that previously contracted rate. Spot market freight is used to find rates for a last-minute shipment or expedited loads. These loads are available on the market for a very short time and can be gone within 60 seconds of being offered by freight brokers. A trucking business shouldn't rely on this type of freight completely, as it is very competitive and rates are unpredictable and constantly changing. Relationship freight is the 3rd type, which is basically a blend of contract and spot market freight, and it's just based on building great relationships with brokers and shippers. By doing this, you prove that you are consistent and reliable, and as a result, they will start offering you premium loads. As I mentioned, we do have a much more detailed video on this topic, so please make sure to watch that. Find it in the Trucking Startup playlist. After understanding the types of freight, you need to know how to actually find and get the loads. There are a lot of ways you can do this, but let's touch on freight brokers, load boards, and government contracts. Using freight brokers is the most common way to find loads, and basically for a fee, they will take on the effort of matching loads with drivers. While this does make things easier for the carrier, their take-home pay is less, and there's also the issue of dealing with dishonest brokers. As a starting point, you need to find brokers that are reliable, trustworthy, and have a lot of experience and good reviews. Those are the ones you want to develop good relationships with. Load boards are another popular method and are a great way to grab quick loads that might allow you to get back home without deadheading for too long or to move to more profitable lanes. If you can't get a good load from a broker, then load boards are a great second option. Lastly, government contracts are a nice source of direct loads and help open up more load opportunities as you continue to build your customer relationships. However, there is a slightly different process here since you have to register and be approved as a government contractor. We have a lot more information on this on our longer videos, so please review those, or if you have questions now, just fill out the form in the description below. So, now that you know a little bit about the types of freight and finding loads, you need to focus on working directly with shippers. As a carrier, your goal should be to work directly with shippers, with the reason being to make the most money by cutting out the middleman. By building relationships with shippers and securing direct customer freight, you eliminate the need for brokers, or at least minimize how often you need to use them. The most important thing to understand is that this will not happen overnight. Some things that you can focus on are creating a professional company image with a logo and website, creating a carrier packet to give to shippers so they know everything about your company, and you can even start networking by attending events or joining associations that will put you in front of shippers. Okay, I've got a little joke for you. How many lawyers does it take to screw in a light bulb? Give up? 3. The first to screw in the light bulb, the second to push the ladder and make them fall, and the third to sue the ladder company for all their work. I know, not all lawyers are bad, but as you know, there are always some bad seeds that ruin it for everyone. This next change will hopefully catch fire and spread across all states, but right now it's only benefiting Floridians. Florida Governor DeSantis signed a tort reform bill that will hopefully decrease the amount of frivolous civil lawsuits filed by a trial attorney. Many of these civil suits are drawn out as long as possible and ultimately collect more and more fees from insurance companies. The reduction of this type of litigating will help many businesses, including trucking companies, and even the consumer, since it can drive up the basic cost of goods and services across all areas of industry and commerce. This bill makes 4 major changes. 1, it modifies the bad faith insurance claims. 2, it eliminates one-way attorney's fees and fee multipliers. 3, it ensures that Floridians can be held liable for damages if the person suing is more at fault. And 4, it expands immunity for property owners defending against a criminal who is injured on their property while providing uniform standards for juries in calculating medical damages. In addition to making it more difficult for plaintiffs to recover punitive damages, the statute of limitations for negligence claims against carriers was reduced from 4 to 2 years, reducing the time a trucking company will have to defend themselves against these types of claims. These changes should lead to fewer lawsuits and less money spent by carriers to defend themselves and pay damages. Also, even though it will take years to see, the trucking insurance premiums for carriers in Florida should decrease after insurers measure the changing legal climate. Now, even though Floridians are the only ones seeing these benefits right now, we hope that these changes will carry over into other states as well and reduce those pointless lawsuits nationwide. Do you remember the discussion we had not that long ago about Amazon Relay and Amazon Flex? Well, if not, these 2 programs offer huge opportunities and focus on different types of drivers. The Amazon Relay program is meant for trucking companies, owner-operators, and individuals to deliver loads via Amazon box truck or semi-trailer. On the other hand, the Amazon Flex program is targeting independent contractors, allowing them to deliver products using their personal vehicle. Now, in our previous video and article, we did discuss how to drive for Amazon and what is required, so you should definitely check out that video in the link above, but we never really put it into perspective how big the opportunity actually is. Have you ever really thought about how they actually accomplish delivering products within 2 days? Yeah, neither have I. And now they're ramping up their next day and same day delivery activity by implementing a new regionalized fulfillment model. They have over a dozen types of facilities made up of fulfillment centers, distribution centers, and hubs, which currently total almost 1,300 facilities across the US. The general process looks like this. An inbound cross-dock network was developed by Amazon to streamline the flow of goods into the fulfillment center network. These facilities are similar to import distribution centers in that they are used as inventory receiving, break bulk, and storage buffers for overseas import containers incoming from foreign vendors. After the goods have arrived at the ports, they're received into the IXD facility and held until the fulfillment center needs to be replenished with inventory. When that time comes, merchandise is grouped into truckloads and then transported to the fulfillment center. Next, you have regional sortation centers, which increase control over the outbound transportation of packages within its own distribution network. The purpose of these facilities is to sort packages to pallets by zip code. They're then transferred to an Amazon delivery station or USPS post office that is responsible for the zip code. If the package is determined to be out of region, it is transferred to an air hub where it will be taken to the proper region. The last mile delivery facilities are designed to service a 45-mile radius and are typically positioned within large metropolitan cities across the country. But this may be changing as these facilities are now being opened in the smaller market areas. Primarily, the delivery station's role is to sort packages for outbound routes to enable last mile delivery to customers within a tightly defined urban area, and those deliveries are made by Amazon delivery service partners with the Amazon Sprinter vans and by independent Amazon Flex drivers. As a carrier, you can tap into the Amazon load board network, technology, and safety first culture to build and grow your fleet or Amazon owner-operator businesses, but you do need to have good safety scores to be part of their network. If your SMS score is over 60%, they will suspend you. Now, if this is something you are interested in and need help maintaining good scores, give us a call or fill out the form below. We have several very affordable DOT compliance programs that will ensure you meet their requirements. Let me tell you a little something you may not be aware of. At the start of the Biden administration, the White House directed the Occupational Safety Health Administration, or OSHA, to double the number of compliant safety and health officers and step up safety audits nationwide. And now that we're in 2023, those well-trained inspectors are chasing down audits like a zombie needs a good meal. And I'm not talking about those slow-moving, Walking Dead type zombies that leave you wondering, how did you get caught in the first place? Maybe you should just stop talking and pay attention a little bit. These are those World War Z Olympic athlete zombies that run at the speed of light and climb walls as high as the Empire State Building. You couldn't get away if you tried. What I'm getting at here is that they will visit your worksite and your company will be audited. In addition, the Federal Civil Penalties Inflation Adjustment Act Improvements Act was just passed by Congress. Yeah, that's right, I said act twice in one title. That makes it doubly important. Basically, it means that fines will be increased each year. In 2023, OSHA's maximum penalties for serious and other than serious violations will increase from $14,502 per violation to $15,625. Also, in January of 2023, the Department of Labor announced the expansion of OSHA's authority to issue increased instant-by-instant citations and penalties for cases identified as high-gravity, serious violations of OSHA standards. The previous policy, which has been in effect since 1990, only applied to egregious, willful violations. This has been expanded to include some specific conditions, including lockout, tagout, machine guarding, permit-required confined space, respiratory protection, falls, trenching, and cases with other than serious violations specific to record keeping. The new regulation covers enforcement activity in general industry, agriculture, maritime, and construction industries, and became effective in April of 2023. The full article goes in depth on these changes, but if you have questions on any occupational health related topics, you can fill out the form below or call the CNS Occupational Medicine Department at 1-800-551-9816 and connect with one of our occupational healthcare specialists. Delaware has become the 22nd state to legalize recreational marijuana. Congratulations! Bills that Governor John Carney didn't sign went into effect in May. Now, what are some of the immediate changes? Well, House Bill 1 allows adults over the age of 21 to now consume that Maui Wowie in private without worrying about local law enforcement organizing a raid, breaking down their door, and putting them away for life because they decided to smoke a doobie. Also, criminal penalties for having less than 28 grams of the sticky icky will be removed, but you can get a $100 fine if you have over 28 grams. House Bill 2 will create the framework for growing, selling, and possessing marijuana. To sum it up, this will allow adults 21 and older to purchase a personal use quantity from a licensed retail store. 30 licenses will be made available, but not until August 2024. And what isn't changing? Well, you still can't drive under the influence, you still can't grow it, you still can't smoke it, and employers can still give you drug tests for marijuana and enforce a zero-tolerance workplace, prohibiting anyone from being under the influence while on the job. If you have any questions about this, or you'd like to train your supervisors on reasonable suspicion and what to look for with employees, you can fill out the form below or give us a call at 1-800-551-9816. That is all we have for you this month. Congratulations to all those who won the free MATS 2023 giveaways. You know who you are. We will see y'all next month. Peace.